everyone. Today we are going to discuss about principal component analysis. In our previous discussion we have discussed about the curse of dimensionality. That is, on one side we want our data to be rich in expression, and on the other side we want our data to be easy to visualize and easy to interpret, and we want our machine learning calculations to be computationally efficient. So we had discussed that the solution to this problem, the curse of dimensionality, is principal component analysis, which is a commonly used feature extraction technique. In principal component analysis, we endeavor to preserve the information that is being conveyed by the data. Along with that, we reduce the dimensionality. We reduce the number of dimensions in our data. As a result of which, the distance computations in case of supervised learning algorithms and unsupervised learning algorithms become easy. Also, reducing the dimensionality of the dataset reduces the degrees of freedom of the dataset, which reduces the risk of overfitting of my model. Okay, so now let me explain to you what exactly are principal components. So let us assume this is my data. These points represent my data. So principal components are the directions in which my data is varying the most, or it is spread out the most. Okay, so clearly the data is spread out the most in this direction, right? So this becomes my principal component 1. So how do I find the variance? To find the variance in a particular direction, find the projection or shadow of the data in that direction, and our aim is to maximize the sum of the distances between the projections. And we will observe that sum of the distances between the projections is maximum in this direction, and that is why we call it principal component 1. The principal component 2 will always be orthogonal or perpendicular to principal component 1 and the direction in which the variance is second maximum. So in this particular case, if we make the projections, this is the perpendicular direction in which the variance is second maximum. But since the variance is very small, so we will discard this PC2. We will discard it as noise, since very small variance is there, extremely small variance. And essentially we have reduced our dimensions to one dimension. So this was two-dimensional data, x1 and x2, right? It has the number of principal components will be equal to the number of dimensions in my data, and whichever principal components are describing my data, are describing the maximum variance of my data, those principal components will be selected and others will be discarded as noise. So we discard PC2, and hence my two dimensions are reduced to one dimension. Okay, so the condition of orthogonality is defined using a dot product. PC1 dot PC2 is equal to 0. Let me explain you through one more example. So essentially my data has now become onto this, right? So it is represented in a single direction, in the PC1 direction, and this is my data. The information, there is an information loss around PC2 because we have discarded PC2. So this is going to be my data, that is it. Let me explain you through one more example. Now this is again, these are my data points, right? And this is my x1 dimension and this is my x2 dimension, the two dimensions. The data is clearly spread out in this direction. So this is our principal component 1. So this direction or this direction are same. Both are same. Just the negative of the above direction. So my data is most spread out in this direction. So this becomes my PC1. We check the projections, right? So this becomes my new projection, new data points. And PC2 will always be, as I said, perpendicular to PC1, and this will also get projections, and this will be our data. Okay, and we can take a call to reject PC2 since the variance is very, very small in this direction. So what we need to understand is that here we are forcing orthogonality between the principal components 1 and principal component 2. What are we achieving through it? through that we are making the correlations equal to 0. So the correlation between PC1 and PC2 is 0. So what we are doing essentially is that we are trying to have only the so this becomes uncorrelated variables. PC1 and PC2 are now uncorrelated variables, whereas in our original data there might be a few variables which are correlated variables. Okay, so an orthogonal transformation is akin to taking a rotation or reflection of our data. So what we are doing here is that we are sort of rotating this data down to x-axis, right? So this becomes our PC1 and the data is here. You can choose to retain PC2 or you can choose to discard PC2. If we are discarding PC2, then we are losing some information, right? But PC2 will have data like this. So this represents 100% of our data. Okay, if we choose to discard PC2 as noise, then our data will have reduced dimensions to a single dimension, that is PC1 only. Now let's try to visualize in a, let's give you one more example. So let us assume this is again two-dimensional data, x1 attribute and x2 attribute, two-dimensional feature space is there, and this is my data. Okay, so the data is clearly showing variance only in one direction. So this will be my PC1 direction. There is some slight variance on PC2 also. So this is the orthogonal, right, perpendicular. Very small variance is there on PC2. So PC2 will be discarded as noise. But as I said, that discarding this might cost us from uncovering exciting patterns about my data. Okay. Coming on to three-dimensional feature space. So in this three-dimensional feature space, wherein we have got three features, x1, x2 and x3, and the data is clearly lying on this plane, right? It is clearly lying on this plane. With maximum, it is maximum spread out in this direction, hence this becomes our PC1, right? Second max, it is spread out around this direction. This is orthogonal to each other, okay? And hence this becomes our PC2. And the third direction is this one. This is also orthogonal to PC3, PC1 and PC2. So this direction is orthogonal to PC1 and PC2. These are the maximum number of principal components that we can have in this data is 3, since there are 3 attributes. And since there is either 0 or very low variance around PC3, we can discard principal component 3, and hence our number of dimensions get reduced to PC1 and PC2. So what is PCA essentially doing? PCA is taking a large number of correlated variables and transforming them into uncorrelated variables expressed in the order of importance. Whichever principal, the first principal component will be the most important principal component, which is explaining the most of the variance in the data. Second principal component will be the second most important dimension, which is explaining the second highest information in our data, and both are uncorrelated to each other. And in that order, PC3 will be the third highest, PC4 will be the fourth highest, and after a certain point we will observe that the principal components are not able to explain a very high level of variance in our data, and hence we will discard the later variances. So now coming on to the question that how many principal components are enough for our analysis. How many principal components do we need? Suppose there are 1000 variables, how many principal components do we need to select? We have to remember that in general the data will follow the Pareto's principle, that is 80-20 rule. Most of the variance in our data will be explained by very small number of principal components. 95% of the variance will be explained by 10% of my attributes. once we see that the principal components are not able to explain the variance, are not able to explain the variance or explaining very minimal amount of variance, we will discard all those principal components, and hence we will experience a reduction in dimensionality. So this was about principal components. How to implement principal components? There are standard algorithms for that, and the most common technique is singular value decomposition. And in most programming languages, singular value decomposition can be performed using one line of code. Okay, thank you guys. Bye.